Yeah. What's happening, everyone? My name is Yoshi Pantera, and this is my friend Maria Marcano. See, say hello.
Hello.
Today, we're going to talk about health and something specific, which is burnout in careers. Maria Marcano is an amazing health coach, and she actually also started her own mythology. And we're going to learn a lot about what this is and what can we do about it and how we connect this with regenerative culture. So, Maria Marcano, tell us, what is this health coach of career burnout?
Well, burnout, let's start with that. Burnout really is a phenomenon that a lot of people have been experiencing for a long time. For example, I had this experience 10 years ago, but it didn't have a name. And now more and more people are aware of the word burnout, and we truly want to use this word to sort of summarize or combine a number of symptoms that come from being under stress for either a long period of time or acute stress, like concentrated stress for a short period of time. And the qualities of someone that's burning out is having fatigue that's not just physical but mental and emotional. So as a burnout coach, what I do, and I specifically help women, not the men don't burn out, right? Men also burn out, but women burn out in a different way. What I do is I support women so they can either prevent or reverse the physical, mental, and emotional damage of career burnout, which has to do with working a lot, and empower them through their own inner technology so they can become resilient and succeed without breaking their body or their relationships in the process.
Nice. Thank you so much. And just being aware of this is very important. That's basically the first step to understand, okay, what's happening to me. I feel like, okay, I'm working a lot, I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm very efficient with my time, and I can do going to the gym, I can be doing a lot of different things, but it gets to the point that so much, and then what could happen? Like, there's different things that could happen. I've heard a few. What is the most
Yeah.
common?
Well, absolutely. Well, one of the things that I highlight is when people that tend to burn out are high achievers. People that tend to burn out are people that have a really high tolerance for stress and for pain, and they don't realize this is happening until they hit the wall. So, how do they find out? Because the body gives up on them. So that doesn't mean that that's the main thing, is that because we're unaware of what happens in the process, and the body is there to support us. The body is really just trying to do its work of keeping us safe. And so what happens is technically it hits the brakes. And this can show in so many ways. It could be things like digestive issues, chronic fatigue. Like you wake up in the morning, and even if you slept 9 hours, 10 hours, you're still tired. You're tired no matter what. You keep using the same amount of coffee or whatever caffeine you use, and it doesn't matter. You're still tired. And then at night, even though you're exhausted, you lay in your bed with your eyes open. You want to sleep, but you cannot sleep, even though you know you're tired. So that's one of the quintessential cues that you hit the wall, is that you're tired, but you're wired at the same time.
Right. And why am I inviting you to this episode and this understanding of connecting with regenerative culture? Our culture in general, if we observe, and we've talked about this before, is degenerative. And us that are the machine of the system don't realize that we are degenerating ourselves. So in order to see a better world, a new world, it starts with ourselves. And there's different things that we can learn about our health, eating habits, meditation, retreats, or even understanding that, accepting the fact that we're burning out, and we're working probably in a job that is not the job I love, and it's someone else's project or something like that. That, why am I burning out for? And it doesn't make sense. And I've had family members that are 20 years in the same job, and it's a corporate somewhere job, and maybe they get benefits and everything, but is it that life? You know. So talk to me about your experience on the corporate job.
Yeah, and to be honest, you can burn out as a business owner as much as you burn out as a corporate individual. I truly believe that the root cause is not the job in itself, is how we view work. What that means is that what are our limiting beliefs around success and around our worth. So you can have the job of your life and burn yourself down to the ground because of your belief system. But in my case, I actually burn out in corporate. Why do people burn out in corporate? Well, it could be many reasons, but some of these cultures are toxic. They really do not. They don't have in place systems to support the stress levels that a lot of people are under, depending on the industry. And the industry I was working on is the event industry. So I put together huge, and when I say huge, I'm talking about 10,000 people events. And these are corporate sort of convention events, and feeding that many people and moving that many people from one point to the other and organizing all that takes a lot of pressure. And there's so many details. And if one thing goes wrong, it's huge. It can be $1 million mistake. And I happen to have a $1 million account. So the pressure was always on me, and I was really good at it. And here's the key. Typically, we're really good. So high achievers are really good at what they do, and they strive to be the best. That's their thing. That's a mindset. If I don't get it perfect, I don't value myself. If I don't give it my all, then there's something wrong and people are going to find out. The limiting belief behind my burnout was I need to prove myself. Why? Because I was the youngest and one of the few females in the team. So I felt at a disadvantage from upbringing and cultural belief that I had to prove myself. There's also a masculine energy that was overpowering in this industry. So I always had to assert myself. And by nature, I'm kind of kind and lighthearted. So I had to pretend and become this tough person that it wasn't really me. And when that happens, you get tired because you're playing a role all the time. You're giving it your all, you're trying to prove yourself, and on top of that, you are playing a role. That will totally burn you out emotionally and physically. I end up winning awards, being on magazines, getting the best accounts in the company, but being so tired, so sick that even though I ignore all the symptoms, I was crying myself at night. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But then, like you were saying, I'm like, this is a huge job. This is good money. Look at my benefits. Like, how can I live this? And I am an immigrant too. So it's like I thought people will kill for this position that I have. Like, I made it. It's my American dream. And so it was kind of like an internal war. And that's what happens. Part of you knows, but you deny that part of you. So I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And what I told you just happened. The body pulled the brakes on me. And how this show up was I'm petite. I started losing more weight, and my hair started to fall, and I started to get nervous. And then eventually, the fatigue was so acute that the coffee wasn't working anymore. And then the crying and this thing that felt like depression took over. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor, they did some tests, and they told me that I was going into menopause when I was only 33. Oh. So I destroy my hormones because cortisol, the stress hormones, affects everything, including your sex hormones. That's why so many women with issues getting pregnant. That's why, because the stress and the cortisol effect in the body will lower your fertility, men and women. And that's what happened to me. And she said, if you ever want to have children, I don't know what's going on. This is the thing, that the traditional medical formula doesn't understand this. And it's like, but she's a really good doctor. It's like, you have to do something. You're too young. And I don't want to put you in hormone therapy, which is synthetics. Wow. And that was my beginning.
Wow. So that's crazy story. and then I want to know, how did you get out of that?
And then what happened? Dun, 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 dun. Well, the story has a happy ending. I'm here. And but this is what ended up happening. Imagine you go to the doctor, you don't feel well, and the doctor says, I really don't know how to help you. More or less, that's what happened. Or the way to help you is to pump some synthetic hormones in your body. And this is a good doctor to say, I'd rather not, but I don't know what else to do with you. So I had to find a solution. And I started this journey of searching and looking at. And my first thing was like, what's adrenal fatigue? And I started looking into what that was. And then after that, I thought about my lifestyle. I drank so much coffee, and I thought I ate healthy. But then again, the lifestyle in this industry is sort of toxic. So it's late nights and drinking wine. And I use wine kind of to like ease myself from the stress. So I was medicating myself, coffee in the day, wine at night, coffee in the day, wine to help me sleep. And I thought, this is not healthy. So then I started studying nutrition, all while I was still working full time. This is how high of an achiever I am. I was tired. I was still all in on my role, but I also was all in into finding my cure, my solution. So the process involved enrolling into holistic nutrition, integrated nutrition school. And as I learned and learned more, I realized that it was my lifestyle that needed to change. And I made a decision that was very scary, which is I need to leave this job. That's probably one of the scariest decisions I've made in my life. And I said, I had to leave this job because it's going to kill me. I'm not here to tell you you have to leave your job. That was my decision because back then there was no one like me. There was no coaches helping other people on this. So I had to like literally go in and investigate. And that took a lot of time. And so I put a little note in my calendar. And I knew I kept looking at it as the day got closer and closer. And I thought, maybe I'll help other people. I really did feel that if I did this, I was going to go and help other people. And I think a lot of healers do that. And so it happened that I left. I studied yoga. I studied mindfulness. I studied breath work and many other mindset. And so I realized it's not just the nutrition. It really is an all-encompassing thing. If you miss one, people cycle again because it's habitual. When you are used to surviving, that fear kicks in and you burn yourself out again and again, because I almost burned myself out of teaching yoga because it was a habit. I had to go all in. I had to teach more classes. I had to be the best. So that pattern will show up everywhere until you heal it. And the healing, to me, is spiritual and emotional. It's practical, yes, because I'm very much about being practical and applicable, things that really show in your life. But I think and I feel that burnout is a psychological and spiritual disease.
Mhm. Yes, I understand. Thank you so much for sharing your story and the understanding of what this disease is and how can it affect us individually. And I imagine for myself that I also can say I'm burned out. Like, talking to you more and meeting you since I met you, like, I just don't think about it. I don't want to think about that I'm tired. I just keep going, keep doing whatever I have to be doing because it has to be done, and just overdoing things, and then also feeling I'm doing too much and I'm not doing anything right, really. And it's just not healthy for myself. How can I do something for the world if I'm not with my roots strong? It feels like I'm doing too much, and that I just had that mindset all my life. Like when especially I think for men too, is that pressure of like you have to be doing this every day, nonstop, never feel tired. And I actually learned from people like that too. It inspired me because they've done so much and they keep going. Still now. But now I start realizing it's not healthy. It's not healthy to just do what you can and take care of yourself, and that feels right. And I just have these bunch of dreams that I want to do, so it's just hard to chill. But definitely, I feel that the more we also learn how to work collectively, we don't have to work that much too. It's not just ourselves all the time, just doing that one thing that you want to accomplish. Like, I think we can share our dreams and put it together and see how can we manifest together, so we don't have to overdo ourselves.
One thing that I want to offer, and it's true for men as it is for women. And the difference I feel is that for men, you have been indoctrinated to be the provider, right? So culturally,
Right.
and also as if you look at our ancestors, the man is the provider and the woman is the caregiver. Both of those things will burn you out if they're not done consciously, right? Because if you feel that you always had to provide, but then men have this thing on top of them, which is the emotional lead. That's like, you cannot show that you're sweating. You have to stay strong, right? And that's really, that deteriorates you emotionally, because you have the right to have the emotions that you have. And for women, the caregiving is what burns you out, because we're always taking care of everybody and we forget of ourselves. If you're a mother, forget about it. But even if you're not, you are, because that is, again, from ancestry, that is how we're wired. But it doesn't have to be that way. The thing is that culturally, we are valuing production, efficiency and production and productivity over being.
Right.
And I want to offer something that might help you and might help other people. I know how it feels when Joshi says, but I have all these dreams and I want to make a difference in the world and I have this vision. And if that is you, I mean, some of you might be in a job that you don't feel that way, but you still have a vision, and maybe you're burning the candle both ways. Like after your work, you're working on another project, like I was doing, right? I was in corporate studying to be a coach. Here's the thing. The flaw on that thing, on that way of going, is that you think it's all up to you. You have to remember that there's a plan. Here's where the spiritual portion comes. You are not the one doing it all. You are a vessel. You are an instrument. And as long as you stay stressed out, as long as you're worrying, as long as you're strategizing, as long as you're trying to control every possible thing, the most magnificent idea cannot download into you because you're busy in your head. What I'm trying to say is that you have access to better ideas. You have access to better connections. You have access to more help. You have access to much more to make your life easier, but you cannot access it while you are trying to control. It's like someone's giving you a gift, but you have your hands like this and you're holding on so badly into what you got. So remember that life is working out for you. And so to do that, you have to practice being, which is practices such as mindfulness or meditation, being in nature, also eating high vibrating foods, because what I was doing, the coffee and the wine and eating on the go and in front of the computer, that also blocks you. So you have to stay open to this. It's really hard when you're a high achiever to slow down. That's why you have to work on the mindset, because what happens is when you slow down, you feel guilty. You're like, I could be doing something else. Again, productivity over being. Just find ways to remind yourself that when you are resting, the world is not stopping. And there's a lot of things happening. And if you think about the creators, people that had amazing ideas, these ideas probably came to them when they were at the most quiet, when they were at a very high state, high emotional state, not stressed, the opposite, when they were in joy. That's when you get the best possible ideas. Those ideas don't burn you out. Also, they might be the perfect person to help you, and you're so in your head that you miss the connection. You don't ask them the right question. They don't get to know your project because you're so in your head and you miss the one person that's going to give you the capital for that project. So it truly is always remembering you are not running the show. You got helpers. And again, this might sound woohoo, but I assure you, no high level business person or entrepreneur or company owner or executive, no one that's happy doing their job. Okay, they can be doing a lot of money, but completely unhappy. No one that's happy operates from the limiting belief that's all up to them.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And we're taught to take accountability of everything. If it's not happening, it's my responsibility to make sure that next time that would happen. And then all these things around us, we believe like, okay, we want to control everything or what? And then we have this program mindset that makes us think that. And then we don't realize about things like burning out or not being healthy with ourselves, not resting, not, you know, what we think it's basic, we're not doing. We stop thinking about it. So thank you for sharing. Is there the first accessible steps that we can take to start healing from being burned out, or actually recognizing, and then from there, can you share with us?
Yeah, I'll share an exercise that I give. Again, even though what I just said sounded very woo, what I mean is like abstract. I'm very practical, but this is the basis of everything because you're gonna come against it over and over again. What I just shared. But as I help people, what helps people that tend to burn out because they're so addicted to doing is doing, but doing differently. So things that you can do, because if I tell you to stop, close your eyes and meditate, I know it's not going to happen. I still want you to meditate one day, but it's not the beginning. It really isn't. It's frustrating when your mind goes so fast. So it's what I call awareness checks. So grab your phone and open the awareness app that you like the most, like the meditation bell that you like the best. And then schedule throughout the day, like every 3 hours, every 2 hours, for it to ring. And when that rings, you're going to stop whatever you're doing. And you're going to ask yourself, what do I need right now? What do I need right now? Let me tell you, you probably needing to go to the bathroom forever and haven't. You probably need a glass of water. You probably need to stand up and stretch. You probably need to just take a break. You probably need to eat. Probably went all day without eating. Put yourself first for that moment. Ask yourself, what do I need? And not just ask yourself, like be still and see what happens, because you might need something a little deeper. I really need to call such and such. I feel like I need to talk to my friend. I need a hug. For real. Like if you really pause, you realize maybe what you need is human connection at that moment. I need to step out of here and just see a human being. So that's a really practical exercise that everybody can do. Set up those awareness alarms and honor them and stop and ask yourself, what do I need? You're going to start seeing a pattern. After a while, you're like, wow, I always skip the meals. I always forget to eat. And so then you can redirect. That'll be the next step. What is your habitual form of abandoning yourself? Because that burnout is self-abandonment. It's like you don't matter. Everything goes before you. And for your dreams to come true, you are the one dreaming them. You need to be well, right? Because if you're not well, then the dreams cannot go through you to become what they need to be. So once you find a pattern, focus on that one. And when that gets better, oh, well, I'm eating. At least I'm eating, right? And well, hopefully. Then you pick up the next one. Oh, what do I need? And then you're just like, gosh, I just always feel like I need to stretch. Well, maybe. Then you start doing a little bit of stretching every day. Consciously, you put it in your schedule. I know it's hard.
So I guess I believe we need to choose a little bit of what we're connected the most. If it's not stretching, at least walking outside or different activities that you can write down and then schedule them and maintain that schedule until that you don't need the schedule. It's just part of you, and you maintain that habit. So in my case, it's hard.
Mhm.
It's hard. I'm always changing my patterns of life. It's like, okay, uh, it come. It's like naturally shifts again to something else, and I also listen to myself, and I'm okay with it. So I'm not hard on myself all the time. Okay, I have to sleep early, so I'm okay. I'm a night person mostly, and but I don't. I want to shift to the day person, so I need to find ways how to do it and not be hard on myself, and put it on a schedule, and go and put the alarm to go to sleep at night and stuff like that. So thank you so much, and
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that you share, because um, how can we help each other make sure that we're doing this activities that will help us shift from the burnout?
That's a great question. And, talked about community, right? So, obviously, when you work with someone like me, I am that person, right? We're having these conversations where we're checking on each other. Well, I'm checking and you're communicating with me. But let's say that at the workplace, right? You have some coworkers and you guys are burning out because these days there's a phenomenon, let's call it, where some of the works have been shifted to from home, and it's very unique because now it's not like you get out of the car and then enter the office and you're working. It's like now your house is work. And so overachievers will overwork because there's not an ending to the day. So, and I say this because it's so prevalent these days and is burning people. And so, what I will suggest is that with some coworkers, whether if you work in a place where you have to physically go, or you are at home, talk to them and say like, hey, you know what? I really would like us to do this this exercise for the next 90 days. What would you like to do? And just literally every day, just checking with each other and say, hey, I did this. It's an accountability thing. Ask for help. Obviously, what Joshi says so important is give yourself some grace. It's going to take time. Don't be so hard on yourself. But when two people come together with the same goal, um, it's easier. And by accountability, I mean keep it simple. Okay, so you know what? I really notice that I need to get up and just get out of the house and stretch and this and that. Is it okay? Would you like to do that with me? Can we be like, are going outside and breathe fresh air within the workspace? And then you do it and then just set up a celebration. That's important. The brain likes that. So after this long, whatever, 90 days or however you want to do it, then we're going to give ourselves a nice prize, whatever it might be for you. So then you can look forward to that. And amongst each other, you can tell, you know what, we're doing great. We're really doing good. I'm so happy that you're doing this with me. Thank you so much. So just get with your colleague and just find a way to hold each other accountable. Don't make it another to-do thing. Don't get all flustered and oh, now I have an accountability partner. Don't make it that. Again, that's the mindset. That's what so much of it is mindset, because we can turn anything into a task. Maybe just turn it into a fun thing and give it a short period of time, 30 days, so your mind doesn't go crazy, and then you renew as you go.
Yeah, and I want to highlight that because our life, it's made out of habits, and the habits makes us who we are, what we do in every day, the way we think. So if we find ways how to transform the mindset or the patterns of our daily life, we do that effort for 90 days, at least 21 days, we can reprogram our daily life, and help each other, myself and others, to overcome that. And I believe it's different for everyone, different timings, different activities. What would be your the only one habit it's your favorite, that you feel helped you so much, do it every day, like maybe it will help others? If I did this, I will do other habits that, empower them. I don't know.
Yeah, what I have to say, the most powerful thing I ever done, and I continue to do as part of my teaching too, is breath work. The reason being is because that's how you self-regulate your nervous system. What you were saying about mindset, or mind sculpting or brain sculpting, how I like to call it, takes effort, repetition, guidance. It doesn't necessarily just happen because you have been, like, I am 44 years old. Happy to say so.
Wow.
Yeah. This is non-stress 44 years old. I wouldn't look like this if I hadn't changed. But when you have that amount of time doing something, it takes a lot of effort and repetition because you're creating new neural pathways. You are rewiring yourself, and people get frustrated. So I want to be full on and honest and say, this is not about you fixing you. This is about understanding yourself and noticing what are your habitual things. And every time you catch them, redirect them. That is where the breath work enters, because most of us are unaware of what our limiting beliefs are. For example, when you do too much in one day, you overschedule yourself. Did you know that your subconscious mind is operating on a program that is called not enough time, meaning scarcity? That is the operating program. That's like the little disc in there, or whatever you want to call it, is scarcity. There's not enough time, people, resources, money. That's a huge tape on people that burn out. People burn out because they feel that there's not enough. But you don't know you're thinking that. So you're doing. All of a sudden, you catch yourself because you feel so tired or overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed. Oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to get it all done. When you catch yourself feeling, that's the secret. You don't know your beliefs. You're doing too much. You don't catch your thinking. You catch your feeling. When you catch the feeling of overwhelm, the feeling of exhaustion, the feeling of anger, the feeling of fear, boom, you enter the breath. No matter where you are, you can always breathe. That is the number one thing. Grab the breath, learn how to consciously breathe, slow it down, control it, count. And then your nervous system is going to shift. And when that happens, your chemistry shifts. And when that happens, your brain starts working differently. So you have to learn how to use your inner technology. You are designed to self-regulate like a dial, but you have to have a disruption technique. And for me, the breath is the easiest, most powerful, most accessible. That's the one thing that changed my life. And that's one thing that I teach absolutely everybody, because guess what? You don't need equipment. You don't need a special license to learn to breathe. You don't need yoga mat. You don't need anything. You just need you and air, which is everywhere, unless you're underwater, of course.
Cool. Yeah, that's very helpful. And there was a part you just mentioned that we really don't realize that we're burned out. I just keep going through that. I was like, oh, yes, that makes sense. It does. And if we stop for a second and really focus on the breathing and get more oxygen in our brain, like our brain needs the oxygen, needs to function. It's not, it's like the muscle, right? Like I keep, remembering it's the muscle that we have to pump it up. And if we, do different techniques of breathing, there's so many. Can I get confused with this, or like, how can you recommend us, guide us?
Yes, there are many. Thankfully, breathing is becoming popular. When I started studying 8 years ago, no one was doing this. So I'm very happy that there's much more awareness. As far as confusion, what I would say is pick one thing and stick to it. Seriously, same to anything. I think just pick one style of breathing. So what I teach is different from, perhaps you have heard of Wim Hof or some other breath works that I find masculine in nature, and maybe that's why most men go to Wim. The breath work that I teach is more subtle, and it doesn't require too much effort. So you can use it no matter where you are, even if you're driving. Like, you're not going to do the Wim Hof thing when you're driving. So my idea of breath work is it has to be practical. Like, if you have your family around you and you're cooking, you can snap into it and no one will be like, what's wrong with you? So what I teach is a type of breath work that it's meant to soothe the nervous system immediately. Other techniques are there to cleanse, and they're like cathartic, like you're breathing and then emotions come up and come up, so they are therapeutic and medicinal. I do teach that too, but that's not the practical thing, because that's kind of like where you do in order to cleanse all the tension that's in for a long time from the past. But what I do is like, in this very moment, how can I come out of the stress response? So there are deep breaths into your rib cage, not the belly, into the side of your ribs, as deep as you can without bringing your shoulders up or making your face tense. I call this using reverse technology. So when you're scared, you breathe up here. That's the scary, right? Like you watch a horror movie and that's what you hear. It's coming. That's how it sounds, right? Like the killer is coming. When you're sad and you're crying a lot, how do you breathe? Shallow, sobbing, breathing. So your emotions and your breath are connected and your brain is picking up. Oh, something, danger, 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 when you start breathing that way. Or if you're sad, and so it starts creating sad thoughts or scary thoughts. The brain picks up on the breath. But if you take the brain picks up on that one too. Say, wait, that was calm. We must be safe. So the brain is picking up from your breath what's going on. And if you're breathing unconsciously and shallow, if you're holding your breath, this is my habit. When things get hard or I'm very focused on a task, I hold my breath. And I don't even, like, I wouldn't even know. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't take a breath. So you have to consciously take those deep sounding breaths. Like the one I demonstrate, I'm using the back of my throat to make the sound, like when you fog a mirror. That's the beginners, right? You can do it through the mouth, but breathe here, not up here. And if you don't know, then put your hands here. See how your shoulders went out? See if you can do it without. You might not breathe as much as you want to, but it's okay. There it is.
Oh, okay.
See? So what happens, like, oh, but I don't have that much space. It's okay. Now you want to open the lungs with what? With practice, because that's another muscle. So little by little, the areas around the ribs get stretchy. You breathe more, and with more oxygen, you think better. You get dumber when you don't breathe well, because you don't get blood flow. And what do we want? Ideas. Because what do we want? Change the world. Because what we're here for, to make a difference. So you got to breathe yourself into that space. So deep breaths into your side ribs, as deep as you can. And then the key, when you exhale as long as you can. So avoid the sort of like the instinct of going, try to, because that's also a instinct thing for fear or relief or something hard to happen. Instead, until you're hungry for the next breath. This is called ocean breathing, by the way. You're supposed to sound like the waves of the ocean. At first, you sound like Darth Vader. It's okay, or something like that. Or a respirator. But you have to give yourself grace, give yourself practice. Go to the mirror and notice if you're doing this, and it's like, and it's okay if the tiny little breath, because what, you'll get better at it, and you will disrupt that feeling. Because remember what I told you, this is talking to your brain, and the brain said, we must be safe. And the world might be going crazy around you, right? Because you might have all these deadlines, but you're breathing like that, and the brain picks up on it, and it calms down, and so you can work, but at peace without burning yourself out. It's not necessarily doing less, it's being while you're doing. And when you're being as you're doing, you'll realize what can wait, because not everything is important.
And you're not working under the due date, you're working under the creativity.
You're present.
It's different. Thank you. That's so helpful. And while you were talking, I remember one thing, because it's helpful to recognize. Sometimes when I live something, like I do this like holding and and it feels that it doesn't feel right anymore when I start thinking about it, because it's kind of like doing an energy of complaining about it.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And when I sit down and I start like, and what am I complaining about? There's nothing to.
And the body's picking up and the brain's picking up on it.
And yeah, and nothing's hurting me, and nothing. It's just the thought about it. I don't.
Yeah. Can I give you another example? Because the breath I teach, there's movement to it too. We don't have time for this, but all the movements, they mimic happiness. Because if I don't tell you what's happening and I do this, you know I'm not happy. So where do you
Right.
spend the day? Here, here, here. So you are closing the heart, doing this with your shoulders. What's happening? The brain is like, this is like universal for, uh-oh, things are not good. But if you do this and do this with your face, listen, no one can doubt that something could happen. Maybe you won the lottery. So you can also combine the breath. So this is the type of breath I teach. Is somatic technology is right. So the body's picking up on your movement too. You're totally right. Totally right. So it's versus
Yeah.
very different. Right? So you start like really using your technology for you.
It's amazing. So we're talking about learning how to breathe, the most basic action of human being that we take it for granted. We didn't realize that we have it there for us to evolve, really open up our energy force and our mind and our connection with spirituality and the universe. So I feel that um, this is amazing. After thousands of years, we're here today learning how to breathe. And it's perfect because I think this is what life is about. Is like we keep discovering basic things that's always been there
Yes.
for us to learn more, like little baby kids.
We are
You know?
always learning. You know what's beautiful? You said, you know, when you're burning out, typically you're giving. Doing. When you breathe, there's a balance. In, out, in, out. It's the ultimate balance. It's the ultimate giving and receiving. That's why it's so helpful. You're ultimately giving and receiving at the same time. And that does something for us energetically. When I do my sessions and we always start with breathing, I start asking questions, problem solving, because everybody, they have a problem, and I ask, what's the problem? And all of a sudden, the problem, they thought it was the problem, is not the problem. They have access to the real problem that they couldn't realize because they were so caught up in the thinking. And then I asked, what is the next thing to do to solve this problem? And then from their instincts, these women are, well, men and women, but women are mystical in nature. And this like deeper answer comes, and they're like, and sometimes it's like, what's the problem? And they tell me, there's no problem. The problem is what I've been thinking. But this isn't a problem. So when you breathe, you access solutions that you couldn't access otherwise. The answers are in you. It's just, would you give yourself a chance?
Perfect. So it's also kind of like I've had a couple of dreams that somewhere in there that I've solved problems in my dreams, but I don't know how to access that kind of power because it's there, right? It's our questions and our answers are right there. Even mutually, we can help each other, and so it's amazing. In terms of how we can practice every day, we start learning how to breathe, sleeping better, eating better, and we start taking care of ourselves with a basic way of what we think is good life. Then we can focus on working and now I have to say, many of us don't have time to take care of ourselves. Really, like let's say third world countries like Ecuador, Can you take the time to breathe?
If it's important to you, you will. It sounds weird, but I'm going to challenge your mindset. We all have time for what matters. If you don't have time, if you think you don't have time to breathe, it's because it doesn't feel important enough to you. And the reason might be because you yourself do not value your well-being enough. And you still value your child, your work, your boss, your husband, your boyfriend, your house before you. So it's a matter, it always goes back to mindset. So you make time. And that might mean sacrificing something else because not everything is important. You have to get very clear what's important. I'm sorry, but I just can't really be enrolled in the idea that you don't have 5 minutes to breathe. You can do that sitting in a toilet for all that I know. It's so simple. It's just the mindset of, I'm not worthy of this time. I don't deserve to take 10 minutes. I will earn it when I finish all this. I had to earn my time. That's what blocks it. So if you're feeling that way and it's like making you a little angry, you know why. It's true. So you know that I'm sort of speaking to a part of you that's trying to defend itself. But if it's making you a little uncomfortable, then because it's true, that means you can decide that you are worth it. 5 minutes sitting in your bed when you first wake up, when you go to bed. Laying in your bed, for all that I know, you can do breath work. You can do it driving. You know, it's really a matter of do you matter enough to yourself? Because if you get sick, if you one day something got forgotten, I mean, my mother is a breast cancer survivor. And after many years, she told me, she was a very busy executive and a director. So this is learned, okay? You're teaching this to your children right now. They're watching you and they will burn out as adults. And you learned this from somebody. So you have to decide that this stops with you, that the lineage of suffering ends with you. And then as you take care of yourself and you explain to loved ones, this is my 5 minutes. You're teaching them that they can too take 5 minutes. So it's hard because you're going against mainstream thinking. But let's put seriously 5 minutes. That's all I ask people. 5 and 5. 5 and 5. And then through the day, what do I need? And that can take just a minute. What do I need? A glass of water. Right?
Yes. We create the time. We need to take the time for ourselves to breathe, to stretch, to walk, to have a social experience with somebody. And those are basic things that help us be successful. And what does successful mean? Not necessarily a lot of money. Successful means that you are achieving what your dream is. And that's it. And even if it takes time, you're being successful as you go.
Redefine success.
Exactly.
You define what success is. Don't go by the definition that they're giving you. You define, and success must include your health and your happiness. If not, I'm sorry, but you're not successful. You're not.
If you're healthy and you're happy, you're successful. You don't need the money, there's places, a mansion, a car. You don't need that.
And you can have money and places and cars and feel happy, because when you are in a good place, these ideas will come to you. And then guess what? You're going to be more efficient and more creative. Instead of the rat race competing, you're going to be different. And people are going to be attracted to you because I want what this person has. She has charisma. He has something. I like their energy. I want to invest in this business. I want to be part of what they're doing. But if you're like all tired and you look sick and unhappy, no one's going to be part of your thing. So in reality, you can, and all of us can have it all. We can be happy and abundant, and we decide how abundant we want to be, right? I'm not here to tell you leave your job, don't do your dreams, don't work towards it. I'm telling you it can be easier, but you have to be light for people to want to be part of what you want and for clients to buy from you. and for people to refer you, you have to be light, because no one will be attracted to someone that is that doesn't look happy. And sometimes we don't even know we don't look happy. Look at yourself in the mirror. For my ladies, the women, where do you put your wrinkle cream? That's how you look most of the day. You don't know that. But mine is here because I'm always smiling. And sometimes I think, oh my God, I need to stop. I'm going to get wrinkles here. Who cares? I want to be that old lady with the lines here. I'd rather be like old lady with the lines here with old lady with the lines here, you know? So notice this is how you look. This is how you show to the world. And I don't think that real success can come to you if you're not presenting to the world in a way that is attractive, energetic, healthy, and open. And both can happen. It doesn't have to be so hard.
Yeah, a harmonious energy. You know, like we are compatible with oneself, with each other, and I think that's important. I would love before we go later at least 1 minute of breath work, so I can do it with you and invite everyone to do it at least today, somewhere in the day. Today, we start today. We can start breathing today,
Of course.
and
We've been breathing all life.
and do it do the rest of our life, but with intention, right?
Right.
With intention, with the focus, with taking the moment, how we choose to feel that moment, and then emanate that around, right? Cool. So I want to learn more about if I want to learn with you as a coach or as a healer. How does that look like? A program, the time.
Yeah. So I work with people individually. And that's it. That's the best way to go, because each of us, remember, I've been talking a lot about limiting beliefs. So each of us have this program that came from our experience. So we want to work on that. And I work at the minimum of 4 months. And that is why, we're talking about repetition and habit forming. And so that is my core program, is a core burnout repair. So that's where we're going to repair. Remember how my hair was falling and I was going to bed, but I couldn't go to sleep, and I had sugar cravings and all of these things. We're going to repair the damage to the body, because cortisol, it's an inflammatory hormone, so it creates a lot of damage. So we're going to repair the body. I'm going to teach you how to always self-regulate with the breath, so you don't kick in that cortisol all the time. And then we're going to start digging into mindset. So that's the program that most people work with me. I too use breath as a platform for entry, which is for everybody. So my 4-month program is for women, but my breathing tutorship or mentorship is for everybody. And that's a 1-month program. And what we do is that I go through the basics and we repeat it, and you get videos to practice, and I'll follow up with you and you get a handout. So you kind of go deep. So after that month, then you have the breath for the rest of your life, right? So the idea is that once you learn it, it's yours. I cannot take it from you. You can choose not to do it. But what I do is I also work on your mindset and your schedule, and we build a schedule and we go through it and go through it and go through it. So after a month, you get the habit. Because sometimes you buy those video stuff and you never do it. But if you have someone there,
Yep.
and I learn what are your patterns and what you always tell me why you didn't do it, then I can work with you. So at the end of the month, not only do you learn the technique, but you learn how to do it. So those are the two. One truly is for everybody. The second one, I focus on high achieving leaders, women leaders, because I truly believe that we need more feminine leadership in the workspace, which is very different because we're leading from a masculine space, which is deny our gifts. Because women are that we unite people. We actually can coordinate things. We orchestrate. We see many things. We intuitively feel what others feel. We're very empathetic, and that's needed. And that will make you very, very successful. If you really tune and tap into that, you're going to be so magnetic and so intuitive that you can do so much more with a lot less energy. So those are my two main ways. Every month, the last Saturday of the month, There is a open class for anybody that wants to test the
Cool.
waters to breathe with me, and it's called Breathe and Heal. It's via Zoom. So because this is airing in December, the last Saturday of the month is Christmas. So it's not going to be that. It's going to be the prior one at 10:30 Eastern. And that happens all the time. And this is my way to get you to test drive, right? Like see how this feels. And see if this is for you. It's a 1 hour. It's also very regenerative. So one regenerative hour for you at the end of the month to kind of integrate everything that went on and to breathe with other people in community. So those are the ways that I work with people.
Awesome. Thank you. It's really good to know, and would love to come and meditate and breathe with you for sure. And I invite everyone to at least once a month. I think it's amazing and connect with the community with other breathers.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I want to reframe this. We start with ourselves for a better world. We start with breathing. We start with healing ourselves from a career or a project that's burning us out, and really understanding, okay, am I healthy with this? And from there, with our community, grow together and understand that our personal habits impact our habits with our neighbors and circles, that then reprograms the culture a little bit. So regenerative culture is not a new culture. It's whatever culture is happening already in everywhere in the world, but healing it a little bit in a way that helps create more life to exist. And breathing today helps us live better, healthier, and that's what the message today all about. So thank you very much. We're gonna do and end up with amazing breath work
All right.
for
So
a little minute.
let's just
Okay.
do a very, very simple technique. So we're going to use what I was sharing with you, which is ocean sounding breath. Now, because we don't have the time for me to give you the deep explanation I would just want you to focus on breathing as deep as you can, but minding your edge. That means you breathe deep, but not so deep that this happens. So this is the telltale, because we, meaning those that burn out, we have a habit of pushing and trying too hard. So I'm going to say, try very hard not to try so hard. That means mind your edge and do the deep breath before this happens, because the brain is reading your body, remember? So it would be something like,
So if you're listening on the without the video, what we tend to do accidentally is we
where the
lift the
shoulders come
shoulders.
up by the ears and the jaw gets tense, like the mouth gets tense and the face gets tense. So the idea is breathe deep, but not so deep that your shoulders lift by the ears. If they start lifting by the ears, you're going past your natural edge, which is your lung capacity, and you have to accept where you are and just work with where you are, knowing that you will get better. So we're going to breathe through the nose or through the mouth. It's up to you. I will breathe through the mouth because I want to help you hear the sound. And this is the sound you create when you fog a mirror. And you do it on the inhale too. Takes practice. You're just using your throat. So you can close your eyes. We're going to start with that. And eventually we're going to start counting. And this is called box breathing. I will count till 4 and we're going to inhale. I will count till 4 again. We're going to hold it. Then again, 4 to exhale and 4 to hold. So it's 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. I will be counting so you don't have to count on your own. And we will always try to breathe as deep as we can, making this soothing ocean sound. So we'll start with an exhale through the mouth, through the nose. Let's exhale, empty ourselves. Inhale to the side of your ribs. Exhale. Shoulders down. Inhale. And exhale. One more, just warming up. Inhale. This time, exhale, stay empty. I'm going to start counting. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. In, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4. In slow, 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding, 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now do one on your own, counting. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. It's best to do it with the eyes closed. So if you close your eyes, open them. Notice if you feel any different. You might feel a lot clearer or lighter. Just feel what you feel. And no, we only did this, I don't know if it was a minute.
I think it was a minute.
That's all it took.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you feel different?
A little lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if it's, I imagine if I do 5 minutes, it'd be interesting too.
Your face looks softer.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I noticed.
Okay. I feel the piece of it, the piece, breathing slow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, when I say slow it down, then you shift it. So it's just awareness. Awareness of slowing, because the world tells us to go fast.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I appreciate Maria for being here today and all the information, all the love that you share of your stories. Thank you so much. It inspires me a lot. It helped me a few things that I didn't need to learn. I am hoping that too for everyone else. What are we doing about learning how? Where can we find you?
You can find me in social media, Instagram at OM, like OM My Wellness, all together, OM My Wellness. You can also find my website, it's ommywellness.com. Same thing for Facebook and LinkedIn. I have a name, which is Maria Marcano. So in any other platforms at OM My Wellness, you can find me, and I'll be happy to support you in your journey, because your success does not have to break you down.
Mm-hmm. And it's curious to me that where can we see you in 5 years? What's your vision?
I will be training in 5 years. I would have helped close to 1 million women, and they will be shifting the paradigm of leadership in the workspace. And I hope to be then training other women to help younger women as early as high school and college to lead themselves from within, from a feminine space, so they can continue to change the world.
I definitely wanted to hear that more, because it's so important that we have some stuff going on, but what's our vision and where do we see each other? If you're not working with Maria today, check her out in 5 years, because she's gonna still be working on a lot of women. That's that's her mission right now.
Yeah, that's my mission, and then other women will be teaching what I teach, because I want a legacy. So when I'm not here, it lives.
So much, I appreciate it. Lots of love, peace, and abundance for you. Thank you guys for being here today, and stay tuned for the next episode. Peace.